Welcome everyone to the SERL American Ethanol Series Season 2 Race 23 at Talladega Superspeedway. And today, a lot could happen, a lot of different possibilities and outcomes, and a lot will happen. We're just going to have to find out what kind of race we're going to have. It could be a clean race, or it could be a wild wreckfest. We don't really know. It could be a race that only has 2 lead changes and no last lap passes, or it could be a race where we could have maybe like 7 to 8 different lead changes, or maybe even more. Who knows? It's Talladega. It's the ultimate wild card. And when I think back to last season's event, it was a fairly clean race. Only one caution, and it really wasn't even a big one. I think it only took out like 4 or 5 drivers, and only a few of those 4 or 5 drivers went to the garage. And from there on, we were clean and green. I do remember some comers and goers. There were a couple drivers that started in the first few rows that fell back very quickly and would stay there. And I believe the winner was AJ Green, who won in a last lap or passed the leader in the closing stages of the race. I cannot really remember anyone else who was also good that day who was in this field this season. So I think that with AJ Green not in this race, we are for surely going to have a new winner. And also, this could be a race where the championship outcome totally changes or it remains the same. Dale Scott is still the points leader, and he has a 25 point margin over second place in points, Dean Orton. And after last week's race at Dover, it's just these two drivers. Andrew Gorman, who was in third place for a long time, he is just slightly out of. He's slightly more than a full race, but because he starts on the pole and because I think he will do good, he could get himself back up into this hunt, especially if something really bad happens to Dale Scott and Dean Orton. And because we will see restricted play type racing, it could happen. Who knows? Like I said in the beginning, a lot could happen, and a lot will happen. And also, we have several drivers that are at risk of being mathematically eliminated, and those drivers are Garrett Sinor, Jim Kelly, Alan Gray, the one of John Martin, Justin Talapas, Ono Balvin, Lisa Gonzalez, Tony Valerio, Johnny Mill, Johnny Mills, Ryan Casey, the 6 of William Befford, the 84 of Cameron Blake, the 54 of Elton Mills, the 97 of Jonas Phelps Jr., Ben Goldberg, and Abe Troxell, who I almost forgot some of the names. And so yeah, all of these drivers are at risk, but also we could have Jim Kelly, Cameron Garlington, Riley Smith, Matt Hotchkiss also in danger depending on where the championship contenders finish. So, like I said, a lot is on the line for many drivers. And now, let's get these cars rolling off. Some last notes before we take the green flag. I think it is very likely that we could have a new and maybe even a first-time winner. Why do I say that? Well, if you look at the previous 22 races this season, 20 different winners. And many of those different winners were first-time winners. And so that's why I think that. Anyway, on the pole, Andrew Gorman. He breaks the tie with Torn Dieter, so now he has the most career poles this season at 4 career poles. So the thing is, I decided that I'm going to give him the nickname Mr. Pole Center, and alongside of him is O'Neal Balvin. Points leader Dale Scott starts 17th. Dean Orton, second place in points, starts 12th. Anyway, so as the pace car pulls down per road, and now I'm gonna put the cameras back on Andrew Gorman. So many times before, the leader on the final lap at this section of the racetrack did not win the race because why? Well, look at this. No start-finish line. The start-finish line is all the way towards turn number 1. Anyway, exiting the tri-oval. The cars pick up the pace, and we are green at Talladega. So what can we expect? Well, I think we can expect a very, very, very early caution. I can feel it. And behind Andrew Gorman, he has Ian Saunders all over the bumper. And Saunders peeking inside, and there they go! There they go around! Huge crash behind them! I see Dale Scott back there! Hurley Haywood! And more drivers! Oh my goodness, Matt Hotchkiss flipping wildly down the backstretch, taking Reed with a ton of damage. Ben Braley with damage. Nick Smith. And many more drivers. Watch out are here. The wrecking may not be over. But oh my god, it's a huge crash. And as you saw, Dale Scott, our points leader, that's what you get for a poor qualifying position. Anyway, coming through the tri-oval. And onto the, and now heading down into turn 1, Andrew Gorman will lead us back to the caution, and thus he will be able to lead all of these caution laps unless he has an engine failure. But my goodness, that got very destructive, very violent, very quickly. And now let's take a look, or actually let's take a look. Johnny Mills, Jacob Reed, Ben Braley, Nick Smith, Evan Paula, Brian Hedgehog, William Bedford, Matt Hotchkiss, the driver that probably took the wildest ride, or did. Justin Talabas, Dale Scott, Ryan Casey, Arch Hossain, John Martin, and more. Well, my goodness, they're bunching up. Watch out. Okay, very minimal contact. Oh, and here we go. Tony Valerio and Biff Crafton, two drivers that also got some damage. But anyway, now let's take a look and see what happened. Dale Scott got a little too close to Connor Breeden. The two of them made contact down into Justin Talampas. And what that allows is that exiting the corner allows everyone to watch at the racetrack in front of all of these other drivers. And let's just watch the carnage continue. William Bedford, Tony Valerio, and look at Matt Hotchkiss. Flips over. I can't even really count. I mean, you could probably slow up the video even more. There is a setting if you can find it, but my goodness, what a wild ride for Matt Hotchkiss. Ahead of them, I think you might have saw Hurley Haywood go around, and what happened to them is that Hurley Haywood, he almost got through it. Him and a couple other drivers. It almost worked here, but Justin Columbus came down the racetrack into Hurley Haywood. That's where Biff Crafton got his damage, and I think Payne Keys and Clever Crafton actually did a nice job to avoid this crash. So while many drivers did get involved, many drivers also did a great job to avoid this. Our points leader could take a huge hit in the point standings, but I don't think it really will happen unless he gets involved in another crash, because the damage that he got in this crash wasn't actually that bad. So he did get some nose damage when he made contact with Ben Braley. It did hit the wall. It hit Ben Braley a couple more times. But other than that, not really any, like, serious damage. Let's take a flyby on the wall in the middle of the backstretch. So everything looks normal up until right there. And based on the smoke, it's not really that much of a brainer on why many drivers got involved, because look at all that smoke. You can't really even see a thing. You might want to hold onto your seat even tighter, because let's go on board Matt Hotchkiss from the cockpit. He almost did make it. I believe last week Payne Keys got mathematically eliminated, and I think now he might take a new approach to these races, such as the way he avoids wrecks. I wonder if Jacob Reed had no brakes, because he just piled into this crash and he didn't really show any signs of slowing down. Great wreck avoidance for Cameron Garlington. Last but not least, Brown Hedgehog could have done the same thing that Cameron Garlington did, but he was not able to avoid Nick Smith. There's Nick Smith just ahead of him in the yellow car, in front of Johnny Mills. And right here, I don't know how he avoided this part of the crash, but look at this. I think it's Randy O'Neill. No, that's not Randy O'Neill. It's Justin Talabas and Nick Smith. And Nick Smith got hit and made contact with Justin Talabas down into Brown Hedgehog, and there was nothing that Brown Hedgehog could have done. everyone from Jacob Reed to um, Arch Hassan is officially out of the race, and some of those drivers like Matt Hoskis, Jacob Reed, these were a couple drivers that could had, if they had a really great day, could had possibly, it still would have been a slim chance, but maybe have been, maybe could have saved their championship hopes. But now that they are out of the race, that is pretty much over because after this race we only have 3 more races left in the season, and then we crown a champion. The season is done. Anyway, one driver that is trying to save his championship hopes, who still has a great chance, is Andrew Gorman. But let's just see how long he'll be able to hold on to this lead. Here we go. The green flag is out. Ansar is trying to do a little bit of a crossover move, but that's not going to work. Anyway, down into turn number 1. Jim Kelly is now going to follow Andrew Gorman. Jim Kelly was the last driver to win at Superspeedway track, the 4.018 mile monster Superspeedway that was Pigs Creek. Now Andrew Gorman, he's going to go to the high side. Okay, I thought I was going to go to the high side, but now Jim Kelly, he's going to tuck him right behind him. Oh, and here comes Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly down the backstretch. He's gonna be able to pass Andrew Gorman, so I guess Andrew Gorman decides to give up the lead. He probably could have stayed on the bottom, but I guess since it is still somewhat early in this race, he doesn't mind doing that. And now Jim Kelly is not gonna be able to lead, so I'm interested to see how long Jim Kelly will be able to hold on to this lead. Behind them, we have Philip Goldberg, the winner at Dover last week, and he won in dominating fashion. And Daniel Voiles, the defending series champion, who actually I think if Daniel Voiles can get a, I think that if Daniel Voiles can get a great finish, and if Dale Scott, Dean Orton, and maybe even Andrew Gorman continue to struggle, he might still have a slim chance of winning back-to-back championships. But anyway, now Jim Kelly, he's just sailing away. If Daniel Voiles and Philip Goldberg can work together, then maybe there is something. Meanwhile, in the back of the pack, Dale Scott, a slower traffic. He is slowly losing the draft. He is going to pick up at least one spot on Big Crafton, but I think Dale Scott, in order for him to gain a lot of positions, he's going to need these leaders to crash. Which doesn't really sound like it's going to happen right now. Anyway, down the backstretch. So the backstretch, I think the reason why the backstretch, even though the crash did not start on the backstretch, it ended there. The backstretch, it's where, especially on the starts, the field sometimes either likes to fan out 2, 3, 4, 5 wide, or sometimes the field gets tighter and closer to each other because there's something that's called the side draft, and the side draft is when you ruin the person next to you's momentum, and then you in your line gets the advantage and makes the pass or maintains the position. That's what happened in the truck race yesterday. Brad Ketchog was trying to side draft along. Who was it? I think it was Kendall. I think it was Kendall Maynor, but that did not work out. No, it wasn't Kendall Maynor. It was someone else. I can't quite remember. But speaking of Kendall Maynor, he got the pole yesterday, and even though it was not the result that he would have liked to seen, he's currently having a great day right now, and is actually somewhat pulling away from Austin Kennedy, I think both Kendall Maynor and Austin Kennedy have had pretty struggling seasons, and they've also yet to win this season. Behind Austin Kennedy, Randy O'Neal. I think the closest he has come to winning all season long was Seattle, all the way back in race number 4, and if I remember correctly, he dominated that race, but got passed on the last lap to Justin Talampus. And now Andrew Gorman, he's looking to make a charge back to the front. But it looks like Jim Kelly, he's not. It looks like that this isn't really going to exactly be Jim Kelly's race, because here comes Kendall Maynor in the 70 with pretty little help. Randy O'Neal is now going to slide back. Dean Orton in the 13. Here he comes. Here he comes, but he better not give up the bottom to 24 of Abe Troxel, a driver that a driver that I felt like that in the first half of the season spent a lot of his time around last place in points, but really ever since the second half, he really has been able to pick up the pace and could possibly get into the top 10 points depending on where he finishes. Andrew Gorman, it looks like that. It looks like Andrew Gorman looks like his car is starting to come back to him, and he's gonna make a mad dash to the front. Right now, things aren't getting too crazy, but we still are seeing I think that we are definitely seeing a lot too wide and 3 wide every now and then. Now, Andrew Gorman, he goes to the high side, which really isn't going to work out. Which really isn't going to work out, but because now he's going to get passed by Phil Gower unless he goes to the bottom. He's not going to be able to do so. And for these drivers, we still have Kendall Maynard just kind of maybe he's like coasting behind Jim Kelly, waiting to make his move at the right time. And actually, Jim Kelly, our leader, last season when he drove in the number 9 Napa All Parts Chevrolet, the ride that Aiden Saunders has this season, I do remember him. I do remember him running quite well. So in some ways, it's not that much of a surprise to see Jim Kelly performing this well at Superspeedway type racetracks. But anyway, behind them, this is where we are seeing the battles. Underneath, Abe Troxel goes Connor Breeden in the 4. Connor Breeden in the 4. He's also had a pretty struggling season as well. I think he's actually close to dead last in points, if I'm not mistaken. Torn Deer in the 44, a driver that had a very up and down day last week at Dover. Started on the pole, but after leading the first opening laps, it all went downhill from there. Got past and finished in the 33rd position. And as I go behind them, Abe Troxel, Daniel Boyles, and Saunders. Here's Aiden Saunders looking to get himself inside the top 10 as Tornadier now goes to the bottom. Andrew Gorman getting a little dicey. I have a feeling that in the later stages of the race is really going to start to pick up along with the intensity. But for the most part, this field is mostly starting to get single file. And as I go back in the field, yes, Dale Scott is going to need something big. He's going to need something big in order for him to gain a lot of points. Possibly if Dean Orton can finish. I think he needs to finish. Where is Dean Orton? Dean Orton is in 17th spot. So Dean Orton he needs to finish more than 25 spots ahead of Dale Scott, which where Dale Scott is on the racetrack. He is 29th. He's 29th, but to me he's not really going to lose or gain any spots. So Dean Orton he has to finish 4th or better. But to me, nevertheless, as long as Dean Orton finishes ahead of Dale Scott, he will definitely gain some points on him. And now up front, the top 4 are still single file, but now it's the top 5, and Jim Kelly continues to lead. Like I said, I think Kendall Maynard, I think he's just waiting for the right opportunity. And I thought by this point we actually might had a second caution, but looks like that we might just go green the rest of the way. I thought the exact same thing at this point in the truck race. But what happened? With just 2 laps to go, they all wrecked in turn 1. The race ended, and Clive Crafton, who was the points leader entering the race, took the victory. Anyway, Andrew Gorman in the 22 discount tire Ford, he's now going to lose his spot to Torn Dieter, and he better get down to the inside, or he's going to lose a lot more positions. Not the best day for Andrew Gorman, but to me, I think at this race should most likely save his hopes of winning this championship. He probably will be back in the picture next week as we head to I forget. I think we're heading to Silverstone 19. I'm sorry, the 10-minute time limit ran out again, as I was saying. So, next week, I believe we head to Silverstone, 1957 version, and I remember that race being pretty crazy, as well. So be sure to tune in for that race. Anyway, we just have 3 more laps to go, and Kendall Maynor in the 70. I wonder if, by any chance, if there's any corner that Kendall Maynor is sort of gaining ground on. Not really that much throughout. Ever since he really caught up to Jim Kelly, it's been about like a car length, or not car length, less than a car length, a tenth of a second. But these two, it looks like that maybe they're using a little bit of a 2-car tandem to get away from Torn Dieter, Austin Kennedy, and Andrew Gorman, which I feel like that with it being this late in the race, it looks like that it's what those drivers are going to need to do. Anyway, entering turns 3 and 4, Jim Kelly. I believe, yes. He is one of the several drivers that's trying to keep his slim chance of winning the championship alive. And I think that if he does win this race or at least finishes second, he most likely will be able to do so. But let's just find out. Next time by, it'll be the white flag. And overall throughout the day, these drivers they're leaving a lot of space between each other, which I think is the reason why we have yet to have another caution, and probably won't have another caution for the remainder of the race. But let's just see. I believe yes. Torn Dieter and Andrew Gorman. I think they've actually closed the gap in a little bit here as we head to the white flags. So here we go. White flag is out. 1 more lap to go. Can Jim Kelly hold on, or is Kendall Maynor, Torn Dieter, Andrew Gorman, or anyone going to make a move? Here we go. Into the tribal. The white flag is out. 1 more lap to go. Can Jim Kelly hold on? Down into turns 1, 2. Jim Kelly, he went into that corner a little high, but Kendall Maynor, I think it's really going to come down to the backstretch. Is someone going to duck out of line? Kendall Maynor, he might be using a little bit of that draft. Here we go. Entering turns 3 and 4. No one's making a move yet. Will Torn Dieter try to mess with the party? Jim Kelly, his car might just be too good. The final shot. Here we go. Turns 3 and 4, and now onto the front stretch. Here comes Torn Dieter in the 44, trying to make a move, but I think it's gonna be too late. Kendall Maynor to the outside, but like I said, too late. Jim Kelly through the tribal. He after the first restart, he dominated the race, and Jim Kelly will be heading to victory lane at Talladega. So his 3rd career victory of the season, the most by any driver, and Jim Kelly, he has done it. And as the rest of the field continues to catch up, and the last 2 drivers to take the checker flag are Hurley Haywood and Biff Crafton. Not the most exciting Talladega race or the Talladega race that I want to see, but pretty solid, and another great win for Jim Kelly. This may not be. This is not the season that Jim Kelly had last season. Where at this point last season he was one of he was one of 4 or 5 drivers to have a shot of winning this championship. And even though he most likely doesn't have a shot of winning this championship, it's still going to be a pretty good season when it comes to these 3 wins. But anyway, here is the finishing result. So the first crash took out 10 drivers, and from there on, no more cautions and no more DNFs. So interesting. I don't think that this is the race that we're going to have tomorrow because the Hot Wheels Cup Series cars, they react a little bit more differently in the draft, and I think that with it also being a longer race, it's going to be 10 more laps longer. So a 29 lap race. I think I think that race, I think things are going to get a little bit more crazier, especially also in that series. It also has a much more closer championship battle between several drivers. But anyway, that is Talladega. I would like to. Actually, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Let's talk about this championship picture. Let's talk about this championship picture. So, Dale Scott finished in the 29th position. Ouch! Not the finish that he won at all. But Dean Orton, he didn't do that. He didn't do that much better. I think at one point he was close to the top 5, but then it got passed. But by a lot of drivers, finished 16th. Not the best day for him as well. Andrew Gorman, even though he did not get the win, a top 5, that's going to get him back up into this hunt. Dale Scott will still be our points leader, but it's not going to be by 25 points. It might be more like 13 points. So things are going to get interesting heading to I think it is Silverstone 1957 version, which means that the layout is the same layout that the track had back in 1957. So that should be interesting. One of our most unique events of the SERL American Ethanol Series season or schedule. But anyway, like I was going to say here, I would like to thank everyone for watching this race. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and buy. Congrats to Jim Kelly.